Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Can you tell that we've been drinking?
There's been, it's gone to a bad place, my friends.
Matt, we have a great topic today.
We do have a great, and you noticed our animal sounds.
Yes.
Well, we sort of have a reason for that, aside from the fact that there's been vodka involved.
Yeah.
And that reason is today's topic is when nature attacks.
Nature attacks.
Nature attacking. Don't you hate it when nature attacks? Let me introduce myself if you're not aware of who I am.
Who are you?
I'm Matt Weinhold.
I'm SHAWN Sheridan.
I'm James GONIS.
And I'm Larry Stroth.
And let's get to it.
Nature.
Nature
Attacking.
Wow.
One of my first experiences when I saw my very first horror film when I was 4 years old, I kind of talk about this. It was The Black Scorpion. Because the very first thing I saw when I looked down, I was with my cousins. We were playing upstairs, and my older brothers were watching TV down below. Mm-hmm. And I turned, and there it was. It's when there's a guy on a telephone pole, and the black scorpion is attacking him. And that image just
And those are scary scorpions.
Those scorpions. Nature attacking black scorpions.
And these are giant scorpions.
These are giant
scorpions.
That counts in this discussion tonight.
It's when nature, sometimes
giant monsters, regular ones, whatever.
You know how nature can be.
And
sometimes it gets giant.
Nature produced these giant black scorpions that attack this
and these are like
town in Mexico.
Stop motion.
Yeah, by Willis O'Brien, actually.
Willis O'Brien with a little bit of
original
assist
King
by
Kong.
Harryhausen in that?
No.
Harryhausen
had nothing to do with
Nothing
this.
to do with that. Okay.
Nothing.
All right.
Just want to be very clear. But that's one of my first monster movie was actually nature attacking.
And you know what got me, what made me pay attention more to nature is watching that movie, and then where are the scorpions with the giant faces?
Yes,
because they had.
That's right,
because those scorpions had these big faces. Are like,
what it was we had this great stop motion effects in the film, but of course I think probably the producers of the film wanted to cut to insert shots of the big face, full screen face of the scorpion with like human eyes and like a drooling mouth,
dripping.
It looks nothing like a scorpion face.
Yes, dripping drool.
I picture a scene on the set with my stereotypical
with your Brooklyn accent, the producer.
Cut! What's going on with the scorpion?
You can't see their faces.
Get him to smile or growl or something.
Make him drool or something.
They're not real scorpions.
Well, it's a great nature attacking. It's a great one.
That's a good one. I mean, it's actually good because there's a sequence in the movie where they go down underground in the cave and there's other insects.
Yes, there are.
Like weird worms and maggots and centipedes. Really cool.
And that, I think, might be my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Is that how freaky that is that there's this place where you can go down. It's kind of like the Lost World where you can go to a plateau and all this.
Somewhere in Northern California, there's this giant cave. It was called the Moaning Cave, I think. And back in the early days, in the 50s, what they would do...
It's a great porn, by the way.
No. It's this giant underground cave, and what they used to do in the old days is they had you in this metal bucket, basically, a giant metal bucket, and they would lower you down. You'd have these flashlights, and you go in this giant cavernous cave, and you kind of shine your light around.
Wow.
In the movie, The Black Scorpion, it's very similar.
Well, and it also kind of reminds me, it harkens back to me, because Willis O'Brien did the effects in this, and Willis O'Brien did the original King Kong.
That's right.
And to me, it's almost like, I don't know if it's intentional, but in the original King Kong, the famous scene on the log, when he shakes them off the log, they fell off the log into this like dark cave-like abyss.
Yeah,
and supposedly there was a sequence where a giant spider and maybe other giant insects got the men after they fell down to the pit. Yeah. And it was, I guess, considered just too horrific, or they didn't want to shoot that sequence.
But you see, there's a variety of reasons. Some people, like Peter Jackson, thinks that the sequence was actually shot, and that they felt, it made the film too long, so they took it out.
Right.
See, I don't agree with that, because when King Kong was, I'll save this for another time away, but King Kong, King Kong, they wanted to add a little more to the movie, and so that's why they added that whole train, in New York, the train sequence.
Right.
So that excuse that it made the film too long, I don't agree with.
Either way, I wish I saw that sequence.
It was in the script. It was in the script, and there are pictures that exist that show the spider.
You see fleeting shots of this, right?
But this is like the element. It's like it's the thing that he always wanted to do.
Right.
Well,
and then
with all these
Peter
insects
Jackson in his version version sort of does his version of that
right.
with all those insects, which is kind of my favorite part of the movie. It does work. But then also, I think it's on the DVD of the Peter Jackson King Kong where either that or the King Kong one where he recreates
their interpretation. It was
he does his scene with actors.
Yeah, but it's like he talked to Frank Darabont. They go through this and makeup guy
Richard Schul. Montgomery Plaque,
American Werewolf in London,
Alan
Rick Baker, and they go through the script line by line, and they basically recreate of how they think this scene would have been done. And so they had a lot of the people who worked on King Kong doing special effects were the actors.
Oh, I see.
And they basically redid. It's like not necessarily reimagine. They try to follow it. It's their interpretation,
close as they can.
and it's great. But it brings up. I mean, nature
really
attacks. Cool. There's so many great insect movies.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, them giant ants.
Well, one of my favorites, Phase 4.
Phase 4.
Phase 4.
Great.
Nature attack.
Really smart.
Science
interesting,
fiction, 70s.
Kind of a different take on insects. Or we've seen movies where, there have been giant, or not even giant, but like giant swarms
they just
of
attack
bees
people
or army
ants.
Is
like super intelligent ants.
But there's a sun flare that causes some sort of change in ants in the middle of the desert.
And these scientists are kind of like studying them.
There's a research station.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, these ants now have this elevated intelligence, and they sort of declare war.
It's like a mind game.
Yeah, it's a weird sort of psychological mind game, and they even have a way of communicating with the people in the research station. And there's this one great scene that I love so much where they're trying to defeat the people in the station they build these ant mounds that have these smooth surfaces on the top with the intention of angling the sunlight onto the station to burn them out.
Overheat the computers and stuff.
And it's so great. And it's so simple and it's not a lot of special effects.
Right.
And then they do a lot of things with actual ants where you see inside their ant tunnels.
Yeah, it's a lot of micro photography, like really.
Yeah, and they do
photography.
They do a scene where the humans have done something to wipe out a bunch of the ants, and you see that the ants have lined up all the little dead ant bodies in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they adapt. They kind of adapt. Like they spray them with this like kind of orange pesticide.
Yeah,
and it does kill the ants, but some kind of survive enough to like move on to the next
adapt,
one.
Yeah,
and adapt, and it's really good.
And it has a weird sort of like.
Kind of 2001 kind of
but very cool.
Yeah, I understand that is kind of cool. Sometimes it bugs me, Matt, when they
bugs you.
It bugs me. It bugs me when to tell the story that the filmmakers will use like real little animals or sometimes it works.
Yeah, when they actually you're right. In this case, it works. In Phase 4, it works really well. But you're right. When they use real insects or real animals in nature attack movies, sometimes it's not very believable.
No,
right?
No, I know.
Right.
I think I know where you're getting at. Like Kingdom of the Spiders, where you have real spiders and there are cars like running over them.
Or in Night of the Lepus. Night of the Lepus, where you have real little cute bunny rabbits.
Right.
Now let me jump around here. Okay, now
jump around.
And we kind of talked about in Willard and in Ben when they show real rats.
Right.
That's okay because the rats are supposed to be rat size.
Right.
But when you have like a giant rat, or it always bugged me like in Journey to the Center of the Earth. When you expect to see these giant dinosaurs, and we've seen
the Irwin Allen
freaking iguana.
And they throw a little fin on him, and
even as a tiny kid, or at least I never bought that.
There you go. That's
I always thought that was a ripoff. Like I can always tell, even as a little kid, I like what. That's just.
But isn't it interesting that in 1 million years, or oh my god,
1 million years,
1 million years BC, they actually do a combination.
It's this great Ray Harryhausen animation,
stop motion animation,
and then
beautiful.
But in the very first scene. It's a lizard.
Yeah, like what?
And
what the hell was that?
Why do any of it? Wait for the Harryhausen stuff.
And 1 million BC, which I think 1 million years BC was like a remake.
Right,
of.
The original.
They do the same thing.
Yeah, right. That's all right. Yeah,
some strange homage, but
I mean, we're kind of jumping around.
Harryhausen did that again, didn't he? In Gulliver, didn't he put like a real squirrel in it or something?
No, that squirrel was animated.
No, that's an animated.
Yeah, my friend.
I stand corrected.
That was a stop motion squirrel.
Let me say something I need to defend though the people that did the whole iguana and then putting a fin on an alligator thing. And here's my reasoning, which is that in this day and age now we have CGI.
Yeah.
Someone can sit in a room all by themselves and, have their big gulp and just punch numbers into a computer and create an effect, and that's fine. But you know what? It takes a real daredevil, a real hero to crazy glue a plastic fin onto a live alligator.
You do bring up a very good point.
That's true.
You do, man. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah. Imagine the days of being the iguana wrangler.
Yeah.
Not a good time.
But think of when nature attacks. One of the first nature attacks movies probably is The Birds, right?
The Birds.
I mean, isn't that kind of?
Yeah.
I mean, that is nature attacks.
It's not really one of my favorite films.
No, but it is.
I do like it though.
Yeah, it is a classic kind of like
Hitchcock,
an unexplainable event where suddenly the birds turn on man. I mean,
it's never really explained.
I do enjoy that movie. It suffers from time.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
But there are so many creepy scenes, and especially as a kid seeing it for the first time, there are so many horrific moments that I was not used to seeing in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, they'd walk into a room and they'd see a dead body that had been stripped of its skin by the birds. That was pretty intense.
When Tippi Hedren was stuck in the phone booth, the guy on the outside,
is being pecked to death.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty strong for back then.
These great moments of when all the kids are walking by the birds and they're all on the monkey bars.
Yeah.
Well, the sound design in that movie is also great because he made. If I understand correctly, there's no music in the film at all.
There isn't.
But it's the way he distorts the sounds of the birds is very effective and very unsettling.
Bernard Herrmann.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I really, for whatever that movie lacks, especially looking at it now, I give it a big A for effort because that is a groundbreaking film.
I think it may be safe to say that every nature attacks movie that preceded it found some way to sort of make narrative sense over why what was happening, whether it was ecological or scientific.
Yeah.
The birds left it completely open-ended.
Which made it more unsettling.
See, maybe that's what I didn't like about it. I always felt
But that to me was like selling one day.
I wanted that reason. I wanted
Sometimes
why
bad things happen.
Yeah.
We don't know why.
Oh, is that the logic? Is that the logic?
Yeah,
Sometimes
that's
bad things happen.
scary, though.
Terrifying.
I want to know why the birds.
It's not always
it wasn't
radiation
satisfying.
or
It wasn't- it wasn't-
sunburst.
Well, then how does it end, Sean? It basically ends, where it's like
You don't know what's going to.
the birds are still there.
Especially
And will it happen again?
Right.
Especially coming from this notorious control freak, Alfred Hitchcock, who tended to explain everything and had everything be in a sort of safe place. Here you had, for the first time, something that could not be explained and was completely open-ended.
I'm gonna say there are some great scenes in that movie. They're neat scenes, but it fell short for me.
Yeah.
It's not
my favorite Hitchcock movie,
but it was kind of
But I do enjoy that movie, and I give it a lot of credit for what it did, and I think especially for the time, very unique.
Yeah, and it was kind of pretty much a template for later, nature attacks me because a lot of movies later on be like, it's the birds for rats, it's the birds for snakes, it's the birds for
and then Jaws became that.
Yeah, right.
Well,
right, but nature attack films, especially the 70s were a very big part of nature attack films. I mean, yes, Jaws was kind of
and we all know,
classic.
we all know that was kind of a very iconic film. That it copied itself. There was a lot of Jaws sequels. There was Jaws 3D. There was
like a good example,
Orca, which I wanted to talk about.
Orca.
The killer whale.
But Orca's in a way more like a Moby Dick kind of thing.
it's very different.
It's a revenge film.
Yeah, right. It's the orca's revenge because Richard Harris kills the mate.
Unintentional.
Right?
Well, no, kind of. It's unintentional. If you guys remember, they're trying.
He is a whaler, right?
He's gonna get a whale to sell to
like
SeaWorld.
Right.
Not SeaWorld. Maybe it's like Marineland or something.
Right.
I just want to don't want to get the
SeaWorld people. Yeah, we don't want to piss them off because they're great people. They do wonderful work.
Great stuff with
Kiss my ass.
blackfish. I mean,
SeaWorld.
But
Go
anyway,
fuck yourselves.
so they go to grab a female, and they grab the female, and they're pulling her up, and she aborts.
Right.
The little baby
it's really
whale.
It's a horrific scene.
And the poor, it is a horrific.
No, I can't handle it.
And then they take a hose and they hose the little guy off.
Right.
I mean,
It's closer to an aborted whale fetus than you ever want to get in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, actually, it's actually a fun movie. It's kind of.
You know, what kind of sick, twisted fuck are you?
Maybe my favorite.
talking about
my
something
favorite
that's really-
segue ever.
I'm talking about something that's really horrific.
It is pretty fun though.
It is a pretty fun movie.
You know, if there, look,
good.
as far as nature attacks, so it's like, so here you have this big whale that basically hunts Richard Harris. He's
Right.
gonna say,
It's
you know, I'm
the
gonna
whale
catch
hunting
you.
Harris. And
Yes.
getting- yeah. And it's actually some great sequences, like Bo Derek is in it.
Derek is in it. This is pre-10.
Charlotte Rampling is in it. Keenan Wynn.
I'll take her over Bo Derek. any day.
The famous Indian guy from
Will Sampson.
Sampson,
Yeah.
Will Sampson,
And a fantastic Ennio Morricone score, by the way. Beautiful score.
I mean,
Beautiful,
I think
sad, tragic, romantic, operatic.
I think
Yeah,
people
yeah.
like. I think they kind of toss aside
Could you sing it
Orca
for us right now?
because they think, oh, it's like a Jaws ripoff. I think there's more to it than that.
Hey,
Thank
that's
you.
copyrighted.
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Thank
it's,
you. As I'm
Orca is
trying to
great.
talk about.
All right, come on, Larry. Talk about
I'm
Orca.
just saying that people thought of it as a Jaws ripoff.
Yeah,
they
it
kind of
really-
like
really it's
brushed
not,
it aside.
actually.
It's a lot more. So,
You know
so our
what is a
listeners-
Jaws ripoff, though?
They
Nature
wanted it
attacks.
to be more
Wait,
like a Jaws ripoff.
Wait,
Yeah,
a minute,
yeah.
wait. I'm not quite ready to get off of the Orca subject yet because I really,
Okay,
really love this movie. This is one of my guilty pleasures.
Really?
Oh.
Wow.
There is a scene in this
Go ahead,
movie-
Mr. Apes.
Hey.
Stay focused.
There's a scene in this movie where Harris is plagued by guilt, and
Yes.
he goes to a priest, and he asks the priest, "Is it possible to commit a sin against an animal?" And the priest tells him, "Well, sins are really committed against yourself." And I was, 13. I'm like, wow, that's deep. I wasn't expecting that from a movie like this. And I've thought about it ever since, and it really.
And
is
then the priest said, "Take off your pants."
It's unusual in that there is no narrative satisfaction from it. The whole thing is a tragedy.
It is. No, it's pretty.
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah.
And spoiler alert,
Oh.
because
Okay.
because it's worth it. The killer whale finally gets its revenge on Harris, kills him, and then commits suicide by swimming under the ice and suffocating. There is no happy, there's no even a remote chance of a happy ending in any of this. The whole thing is bleak. And
You know what I do
right now.
when I watch Orca, I play Christmas music. I just turn down the sound, play Christmas music, and then it works. It somehow works.
I play Orca music even when I'm not watching Orca, and it still works. It's just freaking sad, and I can't really explain why I love it so much. I never want to
It's
see.
actually it's not the kind of movie. I think when it came out, like I remember seeing the trailers and the advertising for it, you really did think, oh, that's a Jaws ripoff,
Yeah.
and it really isn't that at all. It really
No.
is. It's that kind of is. It's
They're-
kind of a good movie.
Yeah.
Look, we know Jaws ripoffs.
Yeah, right.
And that one, like Piranha, is a little more.
Yeah.
I
Although
was gonna bring
Yeah.
up Piranha.
But even
Piranha's fun,
Piranha,
though.
Piranha's fun, and Piranha has some strange, weird shit.
Yeah.
It's got piranhas in
No,
it.
but
It
the
does.
reason I love Orca is it's so freaking out of the box.
Again with Orca?
Well, hey,
He's very
Yeah.
passionate about it.
I am passionate about it.
Tell you, as far as a kind of like almost straightforward, genuine Jaws ripoff,
Yeah.
it's really just kind of like Jaws on land, but still a really fun movie. Is Grizzly?
Grizzly.
Grizzly is really fun, and
I do enjoy that movie.
Grizzly is great, and Grizzly is the triumvirate of the characters. It's instead of Richard Dreyfuss, Roy Scheider, and Robert Shaw, you have Andrew Prine, Christopher George, and Richard Jekyll, and they're like the same characters. But it's really fun. Though.
I do love it, and especially for that one scene. There's one scene in it which you do not see coming at all.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
You're so shocked where the grizzly attacks like a little kid. Kid's got to be what, 4 years old or something
Yeah,
like that.
5, yeah.
And you see the bear go. "Rah!" Next thing you see is the kid with like no arm. The 3-year-old kid has no arm.
I think it was rated PG when it came out. It's surprisingly
And I just
gruesome
remember
and
like,
shocking. For
what
a
the
second.
fuck?
Yeah,
What did I just see? You can't do
And
that.
it's like your classic. It follows all the plot points almost exactly.
Yeah.
But it's really fun.
But it
though.
is very entertaining.
And they talk about the kind of movie where this is the kind of movie where yes, it's not like a guy in it's a real
Right.
bear. They cut the shots of it with somewhat clever editing. You
Right.
think the bear's attacking, and
Yeah.
you see a bear hug the guy. And
Yeah.
It's fine, yeah.
but for the time, it's great, and it's actually a fun.
Okay,
fun
well,
movie.
along the lines of big bears when nature attacks.
There we go.
Prophecy.
yeah.
Prophecy, I actually like because Prophecy is more. It's nature attacks
It's a
as well
mutant.
as a monster movie.
It's a mutant
because it's
bear.
a cool
and
mutants.
sort of a eco-terror.
Yeah.
warning
But
film.
the effects are pretty good in that.
And the cast, it was I want to say, was it
Bill Nighy.
Robert Foxworth?
Robert Foxworth, Talia Shire.
Shire. That's what I was.
Edward Flange.
Why do you always say Edward Flange? When we can't think of the name.
Edward
I hate
Flange.
it when you do that.
Hey,
because
Edward Flange is going to come forward one day.
there's going to be some. When
He's here at the convention.
One of our listeners is going to go, "Oh, I got to look this up. I'll put in this guy's name."
I absolutely want to see that happen.
So
John Frankenheimer, right?
Yeah.
Prophecy.
That's not a real person. Come on.
The movie's pretty over the top. Actually,
Yeah.
it's pretty histrionic and kind of like, but it's really actually entertaining. I mean,
No, that's
it's
good.
it's a good one. Yeah, no, Prophecy's good, and I think the same year, right around the same time that came out, another not so good Nature Attack movie, but kind of fun in its own way. It was Nightwing. Nightwing was bats, and you had in the Richard Dreyfuss in the Robert Shaw role, you had David Warner as the bat expert. He's trying to find out why the bats are going crazy and killing people.
They're just going batty.
What's strange about that is that he actually in real life is a bat expert, and so when he read the script, he was in love with it.
Wow, yeah.
This was 1979.
Yeah, and this is a time when effects. It was kind of like starting the dawn of that new age of effects. So I remember a lot of the talk at the time. It was blue screen effects with the bats, and some of the effects are pretty decent. Some of them are pretty bad, but a fun movie though. Could have been
Score by Henry Mancini.
Really? Wow. There you go. Yeah, but that's a fun one too.
Yeah, I that one never really. That's one that I've tried to go back to every once in a while.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I don't.
You have to be in the mood.
Yeah.
After a few drinks.
You know one that got a lot of hype in, I guess, the late 80s, early 90s that left me completely cold was Arachnophobia.
I didn't care for it either.
that guy, that was a hit, though.
You know why, though?
That was a hit.
You know why, though? I think that movie was very schizophrenic. I think they were trying
didn't know
to
what it
make
wanted to be.
They should have made it all out horror, and I think there was also the time like kind of Gremlins had come out, and they wanted to make kind of a comedy and kind of satirical. And you're right, I agree. I was not. Whereas Kingdom of the Spiders, I love actually. I mean, I think that's
Kingdom of the Spiders is great, but I do feel sorry for the spiders in that movie.
Yes, it's true.
Because there's a lot of
actual
scenes where
tarantulas.
you go, actual real tarantulas are being hurt,
which are very cute and cuddly. Actually,
and they're very non-violent.
They're not dangerous.
Actually, we should reference a recent birthday party occasion that Larry had for his daughter.
Oh yeah, right.
Where he hired a nature animal trainer to come out.
That's true.
Yes.
Robert Flange.
Nature.
No, it was Mr. Valentine.
Nature attacked his family.
And he brought reptiles and lizards and by the way,
and
it wasn't
tarantulas and
it wasn't
snakes.
my daughter's birthday. It was mine.
Your birthday. Sorry, I stand
and my
corrected.
wife did that, and it was really cool.
It was great. It really was.
And then we get to like handle actual.
Yeah, we were all there.
What was really cool was he was trying to show that the tarantula is not a dangerous.
They don't bite you.
No.
They're great.
And this is the part that I thought was great and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
Is it even sort of proved that like black widows are really not they're not looking for trouble either.
Yeah, but
Right.
what we weren't thrilled about is when he starts explaining how he takes the little black widow spider and starts pulling out this little web, and he goes, "And these are eggs," and he's just letting them go in my yard,
all over his lawn.
My wife and I were like, "Are those freaking black widows?" He's like, "Yeah, these won't hurt you." And I'm like, "Okay, well, you can just stop doing that now, my friend."
Larry,
But,
was there a
Night
scorpion?
of the Black Widow.
there was a scorpion, if I remember correctly. Sean, your wife was deathly afraid of scorpions.
scared of them, too.
But she had the snakes around her, and
but Mr. Valentine had her hold a
Oh,
scorpion
yeah,
and
that's
kind
right.
of feel the tip.
I mean, which just shows you in real life, nature can be fun and cuddly.
I
Yes.
never thought I would handle a tarantula. And,
Yeah.
No,
But
it was
in the
really
movies,
neat. I really did enjoy that.
But in the
movies, it's a different story.
Yes.
One of my all time favorite kind of granddaddy of nature attacks movie, which is so entertaining, kind of a quintessential '70s nature attacks. Day of the Animals.
Day of
This
the
was
Animals.
this was
Animals.
Great idea. This was like somewhere in some mountain town. Christopher George takes a bunch of 70s actors up on a mountain hike,
including
oh my god, the cast is
Leslie Nielsen?
Leslie Nielsen, Andrew Stevens, Michael Ansara, Richard Jekyll again, Linda Day George,
of course.
I mean, fantastic cast. And anyway, they're doing the mountains, and it happens to be a time of the year where there's a lot of sunspots happening.
it's a weird like thing with the
sunspot.
sun. Yeah,
and it's just it's basically eroding the ozone layer or something and causing all the animals to just go crazy. So they have like cougars and hawks and
everything is attacking.
Everything
now.
up there is attacking them, and it's great. It's just like they're stuck out there in the mountains, but also it starts to affect the people too. And Leslie
gradually.
Gradually. So Leslie Nielsen, who's kind of like this asshole, kind of like CEO executive, who's like
alpha male,
racist to the Michael and Sarah, who's like Indian, and he starts going crazy and starts kind of making moves on Andrew Stevens' cute girlfriend, and
until finally,
until like he
have to,
literally he actually does a scene where a shirtless Leslie Nielsen wrestles with a bear, a grizzly bear, probably the same grizzly bear that was in Grizzly.
Yeah. And you know what? That's the only thing I can masturbate now to. What has happened to me? I don't understand.
Same director from Grizzly, actually.
Are we going
But
there?
yes,
it's a great movie though. Great movie though.
You know, I have kind of a personal story about that movie because, and this is true, which is there was a time. I want to say like either junior high school or something. There was a moment where I was just
masturbating.
Well, duh. But I just got to this place where I felt like, on the weekend I would just want to be away. Junior high school is a bunch of assholes and like all you want to do is just get away. And so what I would do is I would go to this one theater that was in San Francisco, the Empire Theater in West Portal, and I would go see like the same movie. It'd be like for a while it was like Island of Dr. Moreau, the remake with Michael York, and Day of the Animals.
Okay,
good double feature,
Animal Fest.
And I watched those movies for a month and a half. Every fucking weekend.
Wow.
I would go in there and I'd smuggle in my Japanese rice crackers. So now you can see why I had no friends. Really. But yeah, and I saw it again and again and again, and it became Day of the Animals became my strange comfort food.
Really?
Isn't that weird? And
No.
I got to this place where it was like, Leslie Nielsen is wrestling a bear. I'm safe. I'm safe now. And so funny. Yeah, I don't. It's funny, but I watched that movie so many times.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it really does.
Really
and I watched it recently, and I didn't quite have the same response to it. But again, you have to go see these movies through the eyes of the time it was made.
Right. Yeah. No, it's also a great, just a great simple concept for a movie. It was a great idea to up the ante and just make it like all of nature. That's what's great about it. It wasn't just grizzlies. Wasn't just that's a good one.
And we can't even get through this episode without commenting on one of the greatest nature attack movies, which is also very similar to kind of the movies that have sort of a heart to them, which is the movie I want to talk about is Willard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Willard,
totally.
because it's not even nature attacking; it's nature being manipulated in an evil way.
Right. By
a human,
by a loner who's kind of like.
And what's hard about that movie is that you feel for everybody.
Yeah,
you really do. You feel for the rats. You feel for Willard. Poor Willard is just downtrodden. Harassed.
Yeah,
it's really set up well. His character.
Wait, is Ernest Borgnine in?
That's right.
He's his boss.
Did you feel? That's right.
Such a mean, horrible person.
And I didn't feel sorry for.
No,
that's not for him. No,
and
but
I used to be able to scare my sister, or not scare her, but I would actually entertain her. Mm-hmm. I don't think I was even allowed to see it in the theater, but I saw the commercials.
Yeah.
And there's that scene where the rats are attacking Ernest Borgnine, and Willard says, "Tear him up!"
That's right. That's
and
right.
I used to say that all the time.
Oh my!
My
God.
sister would laugh her ass off.
Oh, she'd laugh.
Yeah, because she saw the trailer too. But for me, I watched that movie, as a put upon kid. You kind of wish, God, I wish I had an army of rats. If I had an army of rats, things would be really different around here.
I read the book that Willard was based on.
Wow.
It was called Ratman's Notebooks, and it
Really?
was written in the first person.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is it a good book?
It's pretty compelling. At least it was when I read it when I was 12.
How do you remember if it was?
It was
very close.
Very close.
Really?
Yeah.
Extremely
Okay,
close.
Well, Bruce Davidson was.
Bruce Davidson is
Great.
so
He's so good in that.
likable and so. You're really rooting for him and you really feel for him. But then in Willard, there's two rats that he really connects to.
Yeah.
There's Socrates, who is kind of a gift from the rats.
Yeah.
White
Right.
A white rat that they give him as a pet.
Yeah.
And then Ben is sort of like the brains of the operation. He's the smart one.
Yeah.
And when I watch that movie, I always get so upset because he's sort of ostracized. Like he doesn't want brain.
Yeah.
He doesn't want brains. That's a whole other episode
That's
about
another
the
episode.
Thunderbirds. Yeah. But Ben, he doesn't want around. Ben, I told you not to come in here.
Right,
Why not
right.
have Ben as your friend too?
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
have
right.
everybody there.
Well, Socrates was so beautiful.
And it
you
gets
know,
tragic
beautiful white
because,
rat.
because
Yeah.
As we know what happens to
Socrates
Socrates.
dies. And,
It's true, but
and
it's,
that scene,
it's
that
horrible.
scene is so
Yeah.
horrifying.
Even
and
if you don't like rats.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
and I do like rats, and and when I see that scene, I get
it
hurts
breaks your
me
heart
so much.
Yeah.
And then the sequel to Willard, which
Yeah.
was really out of the box, which was Ben.
Yeah, they actually made a sequel where Ben gets his own movie.
Took it one step further to make the rats even more sympathetic.
Right.
And
A little kid.
A little kid.
Right.
Lee Harcourt Montgomery.
Is that the same kid from from Burnt Offerings?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God, Larry.
Yes.
He remembered the name of the kid from Ben.
But you see, that's what's great about Monster Party because
Exactly.
if one of us is bound to know
That is
the
so
answer.
impressive.
That is great,
Hey,
James. But
hey.
please continue, James.
No, I just I saw it late night on TV when I was a kid, and I was like, "Wow, this is so different from Willard because it's
Yeah.
not revenge. It's
It's a little more simplistic, a little more. It was almost aimed really more at a younger audience. I think.
yeah, they're just
Basically,
trying to survive.
Yeah.
And the kid is trying to help them.
And
survive.
you wanted to be that kid to help
I
the rats.
vicariously was that kid.
Yeah,
you had
yeah.
rats in your building that you.
No. But by the time that Michael Jackson end title comes on,
yeah,
you're-
Michael
Hold on,
Jackson
hold
did
on,
the
hold on.
song.
very
We have
sympathetic.
to explain to Larry.
All right.
Michael Jackson was a singer of the
Was he?
Jackson 5,
Okay.
part of a music. How do I
Yeah?
explain this?
Okay.
What-
I think
You know how you
I
like
get it.
jazz?
Yeah, I get it. But
Yeah.
we can move on.
No, but this,
All right,
the same.
Michael
The reason
Jackson.
I love Ben is the same reason I love Orca. I have no desire to ever see these movies again, but they're so freaking out of the box when it comes to ripping off the originals that it's like, wow, they've got guts. They've got
Yeah.
cojones.
No, they
This
went
is
into a different place,
completely
yeah.
different. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
you gotta love them for that.
Right.
Totally,
well,
totally.
now here's a movie that when you see the poster of this movie, you think it's going to be something completely different,
All right.
and it's so not that. And
Okay.
yet, it's still kind of compelling anyway.
All right.
The movie is called Frogs.
That is a great poster. It was
Yeah.
also
It
on the
is.
cover of a
Explain
famous
what the
Monsters
poster is.
magazine.
It is, yes.
You
It's
describe-
so iconic.
Describe
It's
this.
so great. Well, the poster is there's a frog, and because you
Giant.
there's nothing
About the size of a horse.
but because you have there's nothing to compare it to. So
Yeah, right.
well, there is,
There is,
there
man.
is,
Right, yeah.
there is, but there's the human hand coming out easy, Larry. I'll get to it. I'll get to it.
Go.
Don't rush me.
Go.
I will get to it. Look, this is radio theater. I'm setting
I'm
a mood.
on pins and needles
Every
here.
time you
Get
try to
the-
stop me
No,
from
I'm not stopping you.
building a mind picture,
Go.
I'm going to take even longer.
There's this giant frog.
Okay, amphibians? There's a
Yes,
class
get
of
to it.
amphibian called a frog.
I'm going to rip into this. Come
right.
on.
So there is a frog in the poster.
And in the mouth of the
and
frog.
in the mouth of the frog, there is a human hand that is coming out of the...
As if it just
out of-
ate an
as
entire
it just
human.
ate a human person.
But it's like an
okay?
arm.
A full-size
It's an
man.
arm.
A whole arm
a little bit
coming
of
out of the
half
mouth
an arm.
Yeah.
of the frog. Okay?
Great
Which means
poster.
So
you
you-
would have had to have like a 15-foot frog. at
Right.
least.
Yeah.
So
least.
as a kid,
Yeah.
looking at this poster, you get to this place where you
Giant
go,
man-eating frog.
oh, I've got to see frogs.
totally.
Because giant frogs are eating
Oh, yeah.
human beings in one place.
I think the tagline was today the pond, tomorrow the world. Yes, seriously, yeah. I think that
Yeah,
was
I
it.
think that's-
It's like, oh my
And it
gosh,
has
this
a-
is great.
And a
That-
great Academy Award-winning actor in the film.
Oh my god, well, another great cat.
Ray Milland.
Ray
Milland.
Milland. How can you go wrong?
But now it was more.
You know what? For me, just one more time, say that tagline again.
Sean.
Today the pond, tomorrow the world.
I want that. I think I want that on my tombstone. I think I really do. No, that's beautiful. But what's funny is that it really doesn't have that much to do with the.
It's more like
movie.
Day of the Animals. It's more like nature in general.
Yeah, nature just kind of
in the
rebels.
bayous.
And the
Yeah.
poster has nothing to do with the
No,
Which is
No,
really
no,
a
no.
shame.
and that pisses me off.
It does.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to
I'm with
see
you
a
there.
giant frog eating a manhole.
I
It was very
totally with
disappointing.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Totally
But
with you.
in actuality, it was like these people stuck out in this mansion in the swamps.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Milland, who hates frogs and hates nature,
You know Ray Milland.
and
Him and frogs.
Sully the frog. The frogs kind of like orchestrate the other animals, kind of to attack everybody, and then at the end the frogs kind of come in. But like spiders are attacking people, snakes and other things, but then the frogs are kind of sitting back watching, and then they kind of but it's just frogs, but they're just regular frogs.
Frogs are
not a giant frog.
Frogs are a gateway animal. The rest of killer nature.
Right.
It is one of those things that I was really disappointed.
If your spider is hanging out with frogs, your spider is in with a bad crowd.
Sean, I was waiting for
they were the generals in the hill.
I was waiting for that giant frog.
Me too. Yeah. And someday someone should talk about a movie that should be remade.
I
want to see that movie.
Frogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Channel.
The size of a greyhound.
We touched on Jaws earlier, and the thing is, we have a tendency, because it was so big of a blockbuster and made so much of a difference in the way that the movies are marketed and made, that it's easy to sort of gloss over it. But I watched on Blu-ray the other night, and I was 10 when it came out, and it's easy sometimes to say this movie changed my life.
Okay,
Jaws did change my life.
Yeah.
When I was 10,
I agree.
This was the first movie that was made and marketed for adults, really. Not really a kid's movie like The Return of the Pink Panther or The Bad News Bears that was sort of for kids.
Yeah.
I saw Jaws 5, 6, 7 times in a theater, which was unprecedented for me as a kid.
Isn't it sort of considered like the first big blockbuster?
Yes.
Because it was really, at its core, though, a drive-in movie.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was a monster,
it was a monster nature attacks movie, but it was done by a big studio, done just so well.
Right.
It was, it really did kind of open the floodgate.
Anyone who's sort of a student of film or kind of like a movie buff knows all the stories about how the shark never worked.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And when that was plaguing Spielberg all the way through the production, and Richard Dreyfuss would have these stories where he'd hear over a loudspeaker, "The shark is working. The shark is working. The shark is not working." And I think it almost helps that movie.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine if like Spielberg had never made Jaws in the 70s and today made Jaws. What would it be like? I mean, it would be when he could do anything he wanted with the screen. It would just be
if the shark worked, it would have been Jaws 2. You would have seen too much of
Yeah,
it.
you're right.
But
Too much
because-
of it.
but because
Imagine
the
if
shark-
Lucas had made Jaws.
Oh my God!
Holy shit!
I don't even wanna-
Then it would be Jaws 3D, which is
But
a travesty.
there's a lot of different ways that you can approach, that you can look at Jaws, that you can say makes it work. For me, what I love about it is that the Brody character, Roy Scheider, is sort of like the everyman who's sort of in this impossible situation.
Well, it's
and
the
has to-
interplay between the three of them. The
That-
movie,
yes,
that
that-
movie is really not about the shark. I mean, it's about those guys. That's what makes the movie, really. I mean, it's
Right, and
those guys in that situation.
And even though it's horrific for the first half, and there's horror in the second half, but it's also an adventure story.
Oh, absolutely! It's a high sea. It is. It's like this big high sea adventure.
And there is fun in it, and there's humor, and there's pleasure.
Oh, yeah,
and
it's-
And
also evoked in-
amazing horror.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like-
oh, yes.
Like the
At the time where-
underwater scene where
Yeah,
that
yeah.
body comes out from
Oh,
underwater
my
out of
gosh.
nowhere. And I've read the stories about how they recut that a million times.
Well, didn't he
get
have
it
to
just
fight
right.
the MPAA or something to keep it a PG or something? I thought it was something like where. Yeah, and you watch that leg come down, and I mean, like that's R-rated imagery to me. Like,
scary.
it's amazing that they got away with a PG.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a shot, I think, when the little boy is on the raft, and you see you see out in the ocean, and you see the shark actually come up and bring it down, and they cut that.
Oh,
That's
really?
not- yeah.
Wow.
They
yeah.
took that out.
I mean,
because
just
they found
strong.
it so
You're like you said,
frightening.
strong horror
Yeah.
and shocking horror moments. But you're right. And also, just a great
But
character drama
Yeah.
and a great adventure.
It really took a Spielberg of that time to make that
Yeah,
movie.
exactly.
To marry all those elements perfectly, to have the action, to have the horror, to have that character development.
And even when things aren't working, like I said, like
To
he made
make
it
it
work.
work,
I mean,
yes.
it's not seeing the shark as much. There are times where they just cut to footage of a regular shark swimming away, and then you cut to see and you see
Which
the,
is fine.
Just a slow zoom into the ocean. Like,
yeah, right, exactly.
with-
well, the what do you call it? The yellow floating
The barrels,
the barrels.
yeah.
How that represented the shark. That was such
Sure,
a
sure.
We
I
could
mean,
probably do a
and-
whole.
yeah.
And
We could probably do a
again,
whole
the
thing on
barrels
Jaws.
came up because
Yes.
the mechanical shark didn't work, so they had to
right.
find some
Had
other visual
inventive ways to
representation.
exactly.
Well, now, as a follow-up to that, cut to years later,
Yeah.
have you guys seen Piranha 3D?
No.
Oh, I have not seen that yet.
You guys should see that.
I
that
actually
pretty
thought
good?
you were going to say Sharknado. That's
Well,
what I thought you were
sure.
going to say.
Look,
Nature Attacks.
I've seen a lot of those shark movies on the Sci-Fi
Shark
Channel.
What Sharktopolis?
And those, you know what?
Sharkopolis.
When you go into those movies, you know what you're getting into.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
They deliver on that level, and that's fine. And
Yeah,
those
yeah.
are movies for a certain genre. And I was a talking head on Sci-Fi Channel Shark Week special, Sharkmania. So I looked at a lot of those shark movies that they do. And some of those are the way that they make them over the top, you go like, look, you can't do Jaws over and over again. You have to do Mega Shark, where
Right.
If this is the right shark movie, because they all kind of blend together sometimes. But when there's a shark that jumps up out of the water and takes a bite out of the Golden Gate Bridge, that's pretty. That you go, okay, that's great.
Yeah, but you see the trailer for that and like, wow, this will be fun, and then you actually see the movie. It's like,
well, you gotta. Well, you have to get it. You have to get through a lot of story to get to that part.
Right.
But then they're like, you have to give them credit for like Sharktopus. Okay, all right, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't consider them. Those are not great works of art. But Piranha 3D, the most recent one, is a lot of fun, and there's a little nod to Jaws with Richard Dreyfuss that for that alone you should check out.
Okay.
And the
Piranha
3D
3D
is great, and it's gory, but it's gory in a magnificent way.
Wow.
It really is over the top fun.
Wasn't it Piranha 3 Double D? Wasn't that some reference to
I
boobs?
think there.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a separate movie that had anything?
No,
Yeah.
I think it's that movie.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
No, I think.
Well, I'm
that-
definitely going to have to go out and check that movie. Definitely. I'm going to have to look into that
But
one.
actually, and the original Piranha, though, I thought was a pretty fun film, by Joe Dante. I mean, a Corman film. It was kind of like, let's okay, we're doing our version of Jaws.
John Sayles.
Yeah, John Sayles was kind of a clever
It's
script.
quirky,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's quirky. Had a good cast. People shouldn't also forget Piranha 2: The Spawning, which was a
Where they fly.
flying fish,
Yeah, they
directed
fly.
by James Cameron.
Right.
No.
Yeah, with Lance Henriksen. Yeah, not a very memorable movie.
Avatar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Way
Wow.
pre. It was like kind of like an Italian
pre-
co-production. Yeah. A few like fleetingly effective scenes, but yeah, it was Cameron's, I think, his first feature film that he directs.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we've talked about Lepus,
Giant rabbits.
giant rabbits,
Giant scorpions.
and I think in another
Giant
podcast we talked
sharks.
about Squirm, which is
Squirm.
worms. And those are the ones where I loved where it takes a left turn. Ticks.
Yeah. Ticks.
Wait.
Ticks is one.
Kind of mutant giant ticks.
Wait,
Mutant giant ticks.
There is a film called
Yeah.
Ticks?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, ticks are scary enough without being mutants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, there is a film called
there's-
Ticks?
Ticks,
Yeah.
I'm not
yes.
familiar with this film.
Kind of a fun one is the Nest.
The
which
Nest is also a good
mutant
one.
cockroaches or cockroaches,
Yeah.
either one. But yeah,
The cockroaches.
that's a pretty good one. Kind of gory, kind of gets into kind of crazy, like The Fly, the Thing, where like they're mutants, cockroaches merge with humans, and
But
yeah,
I love
pretty
that.
fun.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And then if we want to go back to the Corman days, how about the Killer Shrews?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wait.
It wasn't Corman, I don't think. but
No,
Was it?
No.
Or I'm sorry, no, it was an AI film.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was an
yeah.
AI
It was an
film.
AI. film.
yeah, Killer Shrews, shrews are like little mouse rat
They look like-
things.
And they're vicious.
Yeah, but
shrew.
But for this movie, what they
Yeah.
did is they
Yeah.
put a cheap wolf Halloween mask on a dog, and then they're like the Killer Shrews, and they're trying to get into someone's house and all that. And that's kind of ones where it's like, all right, you tried. I'll give you that.
Speaking of which, jump to the early '80s. There's one that's kind of not bad called Deadly Eyes. Deadly Eyes with Sam Groom, and it's Scatman Crothers, and it's
Scatman Crothers.
it's giant rats in New York. And it's they actually took little Dachshunds and put rat costumes on them and run around, but it kind of works.
Wait,
actually.
whoa.
Wasn't there-
What is this? Wait a minute.
Deadly,
what is this?
Deadly Eyes just came out in Blu-ray, I believe.
Deadly Eyes.
Deadly Eyes.
Yeah, directed by the director of Enter the Dragon. Yeah. It's
Fred
Richard-
Weintraub.
Yeah,
No, seriously.
Richard.
Oh, that's the producer of it.
Yeah. But it's kind of works though. It's a pretty straightforward movie, but all practical effects. That they put little rat costumes,
All right.
on little Dachshunds.
Well, if
That
we're
is
going to talk
so-
about that, then we need to talk about the giant spider invasion.
Yeah. The
oh
giant
my
spider.
gosh, yeah,
William-
that's a funny
William
one.
Shatner in that one?
No,
that
that's
makes-
Kingdom of the Spiders.
I'm
That's
getting this
Kingdom
mixed
of
up.
the-
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Giant spider invasion is it's a
It's a-
skipper from Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
and
Alan Hale
and
Jr.
Della Reese from
Alan Hale Jr.
right.
And so the spiders,
Yeah.
when you get to the big spider attack,
Yeah.
they have gotten what looks like a bunch of VW bugs.
Yeah.
Well, it's one VW bug.
One VW bug.
'Cause it builds up to the
Yes.
giant because they're regular spiders and there's some big ones and
But then they put a spider costume on a car.
yeah, really.
And they're just driving this thing in and out from people. The legs kind of going all over the place. And you know, when that finally happens, you're watching this movie, like, okay, it's good to be alive.
Yeah.
When you get to that point, you go, all right, I made it to this part.
Matt, I saw that in the theater, and I absolutely love.
Yeah.
I love seeing that
When you get to
spider,
that,
and I
it's
knew,
so
and I went,
good.
that looks like a Volkswagen. But it's so cool. And then I thought,
The gas mileage on that spider.
I want to get a Volkswagen Bug so I can dress it up as a giant spider.
I know, right?
That would be so
It's
cool.
a bug.
Yes.
Well,
Get it?
Yeah, it's
Also,
a bug.
ones. There's
It's a
some other
bug.
straightforward ones. There's one just called Dogs.
What's dogs? What's dogs?
Dogs
You
is
tell.
like mid-70s.
Little dachshunds with furry.
David McCallum, Linda Gray from Dallas.
Linda Gray?
Yeah, and it's just dogs just go crazy and start killing people in this community where it's like a college, university, and it starts attacking all the students. And David McCallum's trying to figure out what's going on, and it's kind of gory and kind of effective. It's just called Dogs.
This is not to be confused with Chomps, right?
No, not Chomps.
No, that's a robot dog.
Okay.
So that's not nature gone wild.
No,
That's-
yeah.
nature.
That's
And
there's-
science gone wild.
And there's another dog movie that's actually really good called The Pack with Joe
Is that good?
Don Johnson. Yeah, it's good. Where it's also kind of where a lot of dogs have been left on their own, and they
Like
start
feral dogs,
feral dogs,
yeah.
and so they start teaming up and going after people. Another pretty effective,
Well, a
movie.
really good
in the
movie is
small
actually,
subgenre of dog attack movies.
White Dog by Sam Fuller.
Yes.
Which is actually a terrific movie.
Yeah,
Which
that
is
is
about a dog that was raised
trained to attack black
trained to
people.
attack black people,
Yeah.
and found by Christy McNichol.
Yes.
Who
Samuel Fuller.
doesn't even realize that he was
That it's a
trained
white
that
dog,
way.
yeah.
Yeah. And then once she finds out, she gets Burl Ives to try to rehabilitate
Yes.
him. It's
kind of good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great actually.
it's actually
Burl
good.
Ives.
And
I'm telling you.
another great Ennio Morricone score.
It's a holly jolly obedience training.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That sounds great. Like, you know,
yeah.
Sam Fuller is one of those directors that every time I think I've seen everything, then someone brings up, there's a Sam Fuller movie. Like, what? No, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, it was like 82 or
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Yes.
like,
That's
yeah.
And
Great.
it was actually pulled because
Yes.
it was too controversial.
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
then
That's
it
what
was
I
only-
remember.
Oh.
I remember
It's-
hearing
It's called
that.
White Dog.
It's called a white dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely
It's out on DVD.
Definitely
Yeah.
worth checking out.
Yeah.
It's not? Or
It is, it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
great,
it's good,
great,
yeah.
great, good. Well, now, here's a movie that I haven't seen, and I'm surprised that I haven't seen it, because I heard weird things about it. One of those movies I never got around to seeing, and I need you guys to tell me, is it good?
Okay.
Cujo.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that a good movie?
Yes. Yes.
No,
no. It is, Sean.
You guys,
it is.
that movie's overrated. Let me tell you. That
No,
movie is overrated.
no.
Watch
no.
it now step away from the Stephen King hype at the time. The movie is dog gets rabid and attacks some people. That's the movie.
I don't know.
They're
you
stuck in a
know,
car, Sean.
It's
It's
I don't
hot.
know. I think it's overrated.
Look,
I think it's really overrated.
I was a big King fan. I read the book. I thought the movie worked much better than the book did.
Because I'm not
as
crazy
a
about the
movie.
book.
Neither
did not
was
read the book.
Neither was I. Some King books work better as movies for whatever reason. But my dad knew nothing about King, really. He didn't read any King. I watched it with him. I showed it to him. He was on the edge of his seat the whole time.
I'm not saying. I think there are some effective
From
sequences.
E.T.?
What's
No,
that?
no, Dee Wallace is
Yeah,
good.
Dee
Dee
Wallace is
Wallace
great.
is good
Yeah.
in
She
it,
gives
and
a
the,
really
and the
great
kid's
performance.
good. But I just
And
think
I-
it's
I
a
love
little-
her and everything.
Yeah.
I know. I think it was a little contrived. If it was a little.
Nah, Sean, I really
no.
enjoyed it. I like James's dad. I was totally at the edge of my seat during that
it
whole
worked.
thing.
It worked
and
for us.
There's this
Yeah,
thing
no.
that they create this when they're stuck in this car because this
Yeah.
rabid dogs.
No, it-
anytime they try to get out of their car, the dog comes and tries to attack.
Right,
them.
right,
So
right.
They're stuck in this car, and it's getting so hot, and they're sweating, and it's
Right.
It's very claustrophobic
It's
to
like
me.
it's like in a way. I mean, you knew that they had different Saint Bernards that they had to make do these things
Right.
for the movie, and it reminded me a little bit about Grizzly because they had to make these bears do these things.
Right,
But
right.
as a piece of effective filmmaking, I'd have to give more credit to Cujo than to Grizzly. You know what I
Oh
mean?
no,
It's like-
absolutely, because the Grizzly is a different
It's just
time. They can only do so
exploitation
much.
and-
They could do
yeah.
more with
But
effects.
for
They could do
me,
with training
like,
a dog.
as someone who's never seen it, going in now and being able to look at something through the eyes of the past, I have a feeling I might like it. Normally, Sean,
Yeah.
I,
I mean,
I
I
trust
haven't-
you.
I trust
because
you.
You have very good
Trust me, I
taste,
haven't
but-
seen it in a long time. But I just remember like being.
But now, wait a
Sean,
minute.
I saw it in the theater when it came
I
out,
did too.
and I
I
actually
did
saw it
too.
with a packed house, and
Right,
everyone jumped, everyone reacted. I mean, it was
Right.
it was really a great Great fun film. Yeah.
So here is a movie that Sean turned me on to.
Okay.
That I love, and I watched a number of times now since he gave it to me. Shakma?
Oh, yes.
I'm
Not
sorry.
many people know about this movie.
I don't know about this movie. I'm one of these people.
Early 90s, I think, early 90s, a crazed killer baboon that terrorizes a bunch of students stuck in like some kind of building. I forget what it is.
It's like a college sort of research lab.
Yeah.
you know?
Roddy McDowell is in it.
Wow.
Christopher Atkins.
I don't know this.
Is the
Yeah.
Wait,
but this
Very
baboon?
effective.
They use a real baboon. This baboon is fucking scary. Like you
Scary.
see this thing. I mean, there are inserts where they use probably a fake baboon hand, and like but the baboon itself is terrifying. And it's these kids, I think, are playing some kind of like
They're doing like a
Dungeons and Dragons game,
Yeah.
like a real live game where they're all talking by walkies and they're trying to hide from each other, or something, and they don't know that there's this baboon loose. Yeah, it's called Shakma, and
Not the greatest title, but it sounds kind of cool.
It's actually really good. Yeah, I think it maybe just came out directed to DVD at the time. I don't know, but it's good.
I'm not familiar with
that.
this
Deserves
film.
like a deluxe Blu-ray release.
seriously,
Shakma.
folks, if there's any movie that I would recommend you see first, it's that one. I mean,
Shakma.
aside from Jaws, but
Yeah, yeah.
like
That's a
that
good
is
one.
it's a really good one. It's one of those movies where it's the type of film where you go, I did not expect this to be as terrifying and as effective
You
as
believe
it
that
is.
because I mean, in real life, baboons and chimps are very strong.
Yeah.
They can tear a guy's arm off.
Yeah.
When you see this baboon, it's like you believe it. Yeah, it's really effective.
Another shark movie that I actually really rather liked, even though it was basically an Aliens ripoff with sharks, was Deep Blue Sea.
Wait, is that the one that's the shark?
Is that Samuel Jackson?
Yeah,
Isn't it?
it's Smart Sharks.
Smart shark.
Was
They're
that
in a lab. They're looking for a cure for Alzheimer's, so they raise these really smart sharks, and then the sharks take
As
over
you
the
do.
lab.
Yes, that's what I would do.
There is one incredible scene right in the middle of it where Stellan Skarsgård, I guess, is the actor who runs the lab, and then
That's not a real name.
well, first the shark bites off his arm, so they have to get him medical attention, so they put him in a gurney. One of the sharks swims out of the water, grabs him on the gurney, pulls him back under, pulls him into the lab, dies a horrible death, and then the helicopter crashes into the lab, causes a huge fire. Anyway, spoiler alert. But it was
Rennie
like,
Harlan directed it, didn't
yes, Rennie
Don't
Harlan.
tell me
Remind
everything because I'm gonna.
Well, but you have to remind me. Is it Samuel L. Jackson?
he? Yes.
Yeah.
Who was giving a speech?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Who is saying we're going to get through this? And
Yes. Yeah. That was funny.
that's a pretty good scene.
Yeah.
You know, if I had to give that movie a certain amount of credit because it worked for me.
There's
a lot of it worked.
there's
for
an
me.
enjoable kind of B movie quality to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
that
And it's got like
yeah.
LL Cool J and Olivia
Yeah.
is in it, but
And Robert Flange is in it.
Robert Flange, probably his best work.
and now another movie we were talking about a few shows ago was The Swarm.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a whole subgenre of bees.
Yeah.
Bees.
Remember when the killer bees was like the
Yeah.
biggest deal ever?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the killer bees?
You know what
though?
happened?
Are they
was
still
the
here?
Swarm killed the genre. I think.
Yeah, but I think the Swarm, as the Swarm was coming out, I think a couple other movies beat the Swarm to the theaters, didn't it? There's a couple
was
TV movies.
Yeah.
The Killer Bees.
There's
right?
the Killer Bees. There's the Savage
Savage Bees.
and there was another theatrical film called just The Bees. And they were all kind of fun.
Then there
They
was
were all
Bless the Bees and the Children.
then there was Life, Liberty, and Pursuit of the Bees.
Bees, Glorious Bees.
bees in the interiors.
Hannah and her bees.
No, but the
We're just
More
kidding.
bees, please.
No,
The Swarm
none of
had-
those films exist.
The Swarm had this.
They do. Go find them.
No, they do not.
And they're porn. Go,
They do not.
Go find them.
They do not exist.
As bad as The Swarm was,
Oh, the Swarm is.
you look at it
that
now and
movie
it's got
is
this
so entertaining.
It's entertaining.
Oh, my
it's got
God.
this cheesy quality, and then there was a TV version that ran like an hour longer
Oh,
with
my
all
God.
these outtakes.
Well, the thing with the bees, what's beautiful about that movie is that Irwin Allen managed to take Nature Attacks and combine it with an all-star disaster movie, and he can. I mean, it is. It's so over the top and hysterical, and no,
and
it's
there's all
great.
these people in it. There's like Richard
Oh, my
Chamberlain
God.
and Henry Fonda.
Yeah, Henry Fonda,
Patty
Fonda
Duke,
is in
yeah,
The
Patty
Swarm.
Duke, Michael Caine,
Olivia
and-
de Havilland.
Yeah, it's insane.
Catherine Ross.
Yeah, it's insane. No, it's a
The
great
names
one.
keep coming.
Just say Catherine Ross again.
Catherine Ross.
Yeah, no, that's a great one.
So, what is the movie? And I need my film historians here to help me with this. It's the ant movie, red ants going across Africa. Charlton Heston. Is
Yes.
it George Powell?
No. It's
Who is it? Charlton Heston's in it, though.
Heston's in it.
And it's all these red ants that are kind of going across Africa, and they're wiping everything out. And there's like a wave of them.
Right.
The one I'm thinking of is not that one. It's a Cornell Wilde one called The Naked Prey.
No. That's a different movie.
I know.
But it
great
has a
movie.
name like that.
Yeah.
The Naked Ant.
We're going to edit this. But
And yeah.
but there's what is that? Come on, you know that movie.
I know. I'm thinking. I can't. I'm
Naked and something. The Naked and the Dead.
Booze is getting
Naked
to
and
me.
the...
Demon Booze.
Demon Booze. No, but that's you're right. Charlton Heston and there's red fire ants.
Red fire ants.
Yeah.
If only we had a device. That
Listeners, please send a comment on our site on Facebook.
Have
and let
we
us
really
know.
drank that much
I
that
think
we
we
can't
have,
remember
yeah.
the freaking title?
But
We're doing so well.
That's a good one, though. Yeah.
The Naked Jungle. Anyway,
You stumped the panel, Matt. You stumped the panel.
You did. That's a good one.
there's a couple absurd nature attacks movies that have either animals or forces of nature, and we don't have to get into like tidal waves and that kind of stuff, but like there's insects.
There's a couple other snake ones. There's one called
Rattler,
which is kind of fun.
Well,
and even though
Deadly Mantis, which is the giant
mantis,
mantis,
Giant,
which I love.
I love
yeah,
that.
I do love that.
You know.
Actually,
And Tarantula,
Yeah,
from the
giant
50s.
monster movies, right?
giant monster ones. If we're going to touch on the giant monster ones, the giant Gila monster.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
giant Gila monster.
Look,
Yeah.
guys,
It's just a regular Gila monster.
But
And
it's
those
pretty
are-
scary looking, you know. He's a Gila
Not
monster.
really.
okay. Larry,
stepping
did
in
you
little
ever
Matchbox
experience true fear? Because
I'm looking at it right now.
you know what? That's maybe one of the nicest things you've ever said about me. But the giant Gila monster, even as a kid, I went, okay, that's just a Gila monster that
Yeah.
you're
Stepping on
filming
little
walking
miniatures.
around,
Yeah.
and you can't do that. You got to give me something more. It's
Yeah.
along the lines of like the
beginning of the
iguana
end.
and all that kind of stuff. Like, I want-
Although I really enjoy, let's talk about a great quintessential giant monsters nature attack 70s movie, Food of the Gods.
Food of the gods.
Food of the Gods has giant rats. It's got giant roosters.
Yeah.
It's got giant wasps.
Yeah.
Giant worms.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And it's got Marjorie Gortner in it. So how can you go wrong?
Well, how about Empire of the Ants?
Oh, yeah, which is kind of, the follow-up in a way to Food of the Gods.
But
which-
now,
H.G.
okay,
Wells.
okay, wait a
Yeah.
minute. Like Food of the Gods, though, we have to agree that it's fun as the fact that we're sort of monster geeks who enjoy watching ridiculous shit, because
Right.
that is what that movie is.
No,
a bunch
I
of
agree.
ridiculous shit.
I don't
There's a
disagree
bunch of
with you.
I don't
real
know.
live rats.
I don't know if I'm going to recommend Food of the Gods.
And
fun,
Larry,
though.
thank you.
It's
You
fun,
can't.
though.
You can't really recommend it. Who can you recommend it to? There's a bunch
Marjorie
of.
Gortner?
There are a bunch of.
Well, I'm not going to
rats.
recommend Night of the Lepus. I know that.
No, but you can't
Food of the
recommend.
Gods, I would rather watch Food of the Gods than the Lepus.
Right? I watched both of those
or Lucas.
tonight.
Kind of apples and
After
oranges.
this.
And once again, Ralph Meeker. Why?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Using that too.
But,
what about
yeah.
Empire of the Ants though? Because that's Joan Collins,
A little better.
Joan
Robert
Collins.
Lansing.
I think I like that a little
Ants
better.
taking over the world, but they're kind of like Phase 4, but cheesier, and they're giant. Kind of like what is?
I mean, I love
kinda
giant
fun.
ants.
Yeah, yeah.
Them.
So
Yeah.
So let me see. I think we've gone through maybe every single thing.
I'm sure there's something
I-
we're leaving out.
I'm sure
there
we
is.
are, and I'm going to be a little upset if someone then goes, "Well, what about Night of the Hamsters?"
Or-
Well,
you know,
the director of Cujo, Louis Teague, had done previously Alligator, where a baby alligator was flushed down the
Alligator's
toilet.
Alligator.
good. Alligator's fun.
You know,
Yeah.
like, Louis Teague was a good director. Maybe his stuff doesn't age as well, but for the time,
Alligator I like a lot more than Cujo. I'll just say that. It's just more
Again,
of a
John-
straightforward B movie and fun.
John
yeah.
Sayles again
John
doing-
Sayles. That's right. That's right.
and now I'm at the point where Demon Booze is affecting my brain. But there's a Neil Marshall movie, the director of The Descent, it's called Rogue, and it's a.
Oh, I've heard of that. I've
and
not
it's
seen
a
it,
killer alligator movie.
Yeah, I've heard
which
of
is
that.
actually pretty
It's actually-
fun.
yeah, I've seen
Really?
it. It's
lot
actually
of fun.
pretty good, yeah.
Lot of fun.
Really? Cool. So the nature, which is called the Nature Strikes Back genre, is not dead. Totally.
Nature attacks.
Nature
will
does
never
attack.
die.
All right, everybody. Well, this has
Very educational.
been very educational, and
we
kids,
may be passing
kids,
out anytime soon.
Kids, don't drink. Don't.
But we
And,
And who are we? So who are we here?
Hey, don't poke your finger at
No.
me.
And
I will sign off when I damn want to.
Oh, and kids, as a disclaimer, you
Kids.
know, nature is a wonderful thing and you should respect it. Don't take our word for it here.
Spiders are cool. Snakes are cool.
And also, we want to do a shout out to ourselves. Please find us on YouTube at Monster Party TV. Follow us on Twitter at Monster Party HQ. Find us on Facebook at Monster Party TV. I'm James Gonis.
I'm Larry Stroth.
I'm Sean Sheridan.
I am Matt Weinhold.
Keep America strong.
Watch movies where nature attacks.
Yay! You drunk idiots.
Oh my God.